Now, it is currently 4 a.m. in the morning, and I just had to make this video because I know I said last week that that piece of information was
The
the
best
best
thing
thing
I've
I've seen
seen
in the
in the
past
past
6
6
months.
months.
God, what a lie that was. Because I just came across the actual best thing I've seen in the past 6 months. Biggest scam cult in China. Main perpetrators still haven't been caught apparently, where the leader of the cult, 51-year-old Chinese auntie Zhang Xinyue, claims to be a reincarnation of Empress Dowager from the Qing dynasty, also claiming to be the spokesperson from an advanced alien civilization on Earth. What a combination. But see, just 3 hours ago, I actually didn't even know what we were dealing with until I dove deeper into the scene and realized that we're actually messing with an Avengers level threat with multiple planetary feats under her belt, as she claims, like the ability to remotely heal diseases, and can rely on the guide of primordial spirits to foresee the future. Except you probably didn't see this video coming, huh? Now, she can also apparently resurrect from the dead. I mean, that makes sense, or else who else would this be? And she also claims to possess the ability to help anybody transcend the material realm by downloading cosmic high-frequency energy into your body, all in the good name of opening up wealth channels for you and of course helping you materialize your wealth goals. Now, when I first came across this piece of information, I thought to myself, who is this niche ass cult even built for? But get this, apparently she was able to swindle not one but 28 provinces, achieving an estimated profit of over 3.5 billion RMB, coming to almost 500 million US dollars. Now see, that's where I knew I played myself, and I swear I couldn't make this up. Her main target demographic is almost exclusively elderly wealthy people, socialites, and upper class stay-at-homes. So I guess we finally found out who's the actual apex predator, huh guys? But how does one achieve such power levels? I mean, what kind of a training arc do you have to go through to even reach a fraction of this enlightenment? Well, let me tell you her story. Now, apparently Empress Zhang is an MBA holder from a key university in northeast China and was actually a teacher at some point at an unnamed high school teaching international business management before she began her scamming career, that is. Now, in 1999, she launched a women's image planning school, which is basically a school that teaches how one can better manage and present themselves, along with a bit of self-improvement skills being taught as well at the same time. And look, me personally, I think this has actually laid a pretty good foundation in helping her understand her target scamographic in her later career stages, so gotta be honest, that was a 4D chess move. So in 2006, she begins a training arc by diving headfirst into the teachings of Lin Xianzong, who was a well-known Zen Buddhist master. Now, around the same time, she also enrolled in a spiritual practice course led by a teacher named Ravato, and using pretty much just a year's time, she was able to create her own system, and eventually in 2007, she officially ascends the physical realm and begins her scamming career. Now, her first official course, titled Creating Abundance, was all about teaching women how to manifest wealth through spiritual energy. And by 2010, she had expanded her careers to include relationship management courses, how to be influential courses, and of course by the end of the year she has reached such an enlightened state that she stopped preaching anything remotely grounded in the realms of physical possibilities altogether and started declaring herself as a spokesperson of an ancient civilization from outer space, and can telepathically communicate with souls, and of course possesses the ability to change your fate by weaving the strings of life itself. You know what this reminds me of? I once read this fantasy novel where there was this one kingdom who had pretty much zero military power, but yet no one dares to invade the country because they have this one grand wizard living in a tower who is able to cast like tier 9 spells, and he'll vaporize your bloodline with a flick of a wrist. That's how dangerous he is. That's who she thinks she is. Now, throughout the time between 2009 and 2013, she begins to accumulate students, or I guess worshippers at this point, and the cost of entry actually ranges from 150 RMB all the way to 1 million RMB. And of course, people actually paid, that's why it's on the news. So she makes a pot of gold, and then she escapes to Canada in the same year because she's a scammer, not an idiot. First rule of scamonomics: can't get a refund if the organization doesn't have a physical valid address, kid. So Empress Zhang takes her trusty lieutenants with her to begin ruling her empire remotely from Canada. Now, she continues her operations for about 3 more years until her organization finally gets reported in 2016. I cannot believe she got away with this for 7 years straight, man. And the police begins to crack down on her organization in the mainland by arresting a few key figures in the group, but obviously she was still chillin' in Canada. So the Empress lays low for a bit and continues operations again in 2017. But now she's renamed her official course Creating Abundance to Successology, as in the study of success. Because, you know, the other name was officially exposed, and she begins opening up these luxury art museums, which operates under the activities of book sharing, flower arranging, luxury food tasting, etc. as bait, obviously to lure in the wealthy stay-at-homes. So you show up and they'll just start playing Empress Zhang videos and her pre-recorded live stream classes, which is actually just her playing golf golf or lounging around in 5-star resorts living life to the max. And of course, the lesson you learn from all that is this could be you if you just take the course. That's how they spun it, all for the small price of 1 million RMB. And so the show goes on for a few more years until COVID-19 hits, but fear not, because that's how the school pivots the narrative. The Empress has foreseen this, that's why she left the country, that's why she's overseas. And once the worst of it passes, a new prophecy drops, where they claim she didn't just survive the pandemic, she actually battled the dark forces behind it. The demon responsible for the plague banished. How's that for an empress, huh? Want to learn how she did it? Well, it's gonna cost you. Now, naturally, enlightenment of that magnitude is not cheap, so they raise the prices, because now you too can access the same divine power as Empress Zhang claims. The secret to becoming just like her lies within a secret activation word. Pay $1 million and she'll tell you this. Now, because you have all rewarded me with your precious attention, there is no need for the $1 million, although I am open to donations. I will tell you the secret activation word for free. 杂好杂整. It means do whatever works best. But see, that translation alone doesn't actually do it justice, because it's not about what she says, it's how she says it. First of all, it has to be delivered in a thick and authentic Dongbei accent. Now, you gotta slap your thigh while yelling it too as hard as possible, or else it wouldn't work. Now, along with that ritual, another sacred knowledge that she has unfortunately graced upon us is everybody, of course, has a previous life. Now, when you die, your soul doesn't exactly die, which is a real concept, so I'm following so far. And of course, according to her teachings, when a person dies, they experience fear and anxiety, all sorts of negative energy. Now, if that energy is not properly cleansed, then it will interfere with how your body forms in the next life. So if you've got chronic neck pain, yeah, that's not a pinched nerve or a pulled muscle, sweetheart. That's because you died from a guillotine in your previous life. And now all the negative spiritual energy is messing with your cervical alignment. Now, of course, another mind-melting story she claims is that her mission on this earth is to gather 3,000 pieces, which upon the moment all 3,000 has been gathered, her people will finally rise again as a single collective connected spiritually. Which sounds good and all, so I'll be the first to ask the question, what is the 3,000 pieces? Well, apparently the key to bringing the spiritual empire together, the 3,000 pieces, are actually 3,000 archbishops. That's right, literal human beings. So, follow-up question, my empress. How many people do I have to scam to become an archbishop? Well, good question, my loyal eunuch. Good question. None. Because as it turns out, thankfully, that all you gotta do to become an archbishop is pay a small indulgence fee of 140 million
US dollars.
So you're telling me all I gotta do to transcend is to pay some money? Well, take my Amex, I'll fill out the direct debit form. Put me in the system. Oh, but don't overcharge me though, cause I ain't no fool. Now, to those who are less fortunate and couldn't cough up the 140 million US dollars, well, the Empress here have something for you peasants too, called the Possibility Chart, which essentially draws out all the stages of life you can possibly go through. Schooling, career, marriage, midlife crisis, all mapped out for you, King. No need to guess anymore. Think about Doctor Strange looking at all your possibilities and figuring out which crypto coin you went all in on and actually came out with generational wealth. Okay, that sounds really good. So how many millions of dollars do I have to pay for that one? No upfront payments. That's right, because all you got to do is climb to director level within the organization, and the Possibility Chart is blessed upon you free of charge. A generous god indeed. So how do you climb to the director level? Well, turns out you pay to climb. I said no upfronts, didn't say anything else. See? I'm learning as well. Now, someone actually worked out the rough amount it takes to get to director level in her organization, and it actually comes to around 2 million US dollars. So, hey, at least it's not 140 million. Now, of course, the following business model was mass produced and spread out into 28 provinces in the richest and most affluent areas. They knew where to put them, successfully swindling over 10,000 students, achieving a total net profit of 3.5 billion RMB. But what about the organization? I mean, how is it actually ran? Well, say you join the organization, you will find yourself involved in 3 main activities in which you can participate in: growth, ascension, and ravage. Growth is buying energy, so the more money you pay, the more energy you buy. And of course, the more energy you are able to collect, the more it's able to positively affect your chakras, giving you a successful, wealthy lifestyle. Yep, no questions here, my queen. Ascension, however, is for your most devoted colleagues, which allows you to transcend material suffering by literally emptying out all the material things in this world that you own. Well, you know what they say, it's easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. So where do I sign for that one? Now, ravage is almost comical. So let's say you've ascended, right? $0 in the bank. Now, how could you possibly screw me harder? Well, your hopes may be down, but your credit's still up, ain't it, King? Start borrowing. That's right, the act of ravaging is to literally go through every possible route to maximize your lending so you can give that of what you don't own also to the Empress. And you do this until you physically can no longer. Not a single friend, not a single bank, not a single loan shark is able to lend you more money. Then you are officially ravaged, and in return you'll finally ascend to the highest realm of spiritual awakening. Now this goes without saying, but for the safety of my own channel YouTube, I do not condone this behavior. I hope I made this very clear so you don't ban me for covering this shit. Now, what if I don't want to get ravaged? Well, they'll send 3 specialists after you. The Enforcer, the Archangel, and the Inquisitor. Now the role of Enforcer is of course to play the bad cop, finding ways to weaken your mental state by encouraging you to sell your assets, divorce your partner, leave your kids, and devote yourself fully to the cult. Okay, this got pretty dark. The Archangel then comes to give you care and support, love and praises so you don't feel like you're not taken care of. Good to know there's aftercare, romance is not dead. Now the Inquisitor will just come along and observe how good of a job the Enforcer and the Archangel is doing, and of course how you react so they can improve their tactics until you finally cave in and do what they tell you. It was this following activity that made the cult so well known that the police finally found out what these brainlets are up to. The following organization was eventually brought down under superstition laws, resulting in the arrest of 8 key authoritative figures. Now the sentence for the majority was around 7 to 8 months, and this is because they were actually both victims and the perpetrator. And it was actually said that they didn't gain any money from it, so pure love of the game. Now as for the Empress herself, she is actually still on the run. Now I saw this post 2 weeks ago where she said to be literally conducting the same operation in France, so y'all better watch out. That's all there is to the story, and I can finally rest. Thanks for watching.